Hey everybody, I'm Terry Britt and welcome to this little video blog that I wanted to share with you. It's actually a Facebook Live, so I will be open to taking any questions if anyone has anything they want to ask as we get into this conversation about coronavirus, a spiritual awakening. We have been talking about the coronavirus from the economic perspective and from the health perspective, which are very key, right? But if you look at that, hey Sharon, how are you? Actually, we'll wait a minute or so before we get started with this, because I think it's a really important conversation, and I hope that you'll sit back and take a few moments to just allow yourself to be in this conversation and in the energy and the healing space that hopefully we're going to create right now as we get started. So Sharon, I'm so happy to see you here. And Bernadine, hey, how are you guys? I'm so glad you're here. We are talking about a spiritual awakening, and I'm sure you guys have been thinking this in your own way, like what's happening right now, right? What is happening on the planet? Because let me tell you, we're feeling it too in our home. We have a coffee company up here in the mountains of Georgia, and we are feeling it. Hey, Sally, I'm so glad to see you guys here. So we're just going to give it a second to let a few people get on, and then we'll get started. Hey, Danny Lee, she says, good morning, beautiful. Thank you. Mwah. Sending you some love back, all you women leaders of love. And I hope some men will jump on with us too, just so that we all need to hear the message that I think I'm going to share with you. I think it's an important one, and hopefully you're already recognizing it, but I just wanted to bring it into perspective from a spiritual perspective as to what's going on with this coronavirus. So anyone else say hey to us, let us know that you're here, and we'll give it another 30 seconds or so and then dive right in. It's interesting because I've been sitting around my home. Hey Sharon, all these ladies, all these women leaders of love. Hi, I'm so glad you guys are here. Elizabeth, hi, good morning. Yeah, I don't know where you are, Elizabeth. It's afternoon here, so you must be on the West Coast. I'm so glad you're here. We are going to get started in just a second and talking about this. I am coming from my home in the mountains of Georgia. Sharon says, hey, thank you for all you do. Hello, everyone. Awesome, Sharon. I'm so glad you're here. So I am coming from up in the mountains of Georgia. Up until, I think, yesterday, we did not have a case that had been, that was acknowledged in our county, in White County, Georgia. And we just had one, and I'm getting the word today that we've already shut down our coffee company. Hey, Tammy. We've already shut down our coffee company. We have 2 retail stores up here, and we had already shut those down, and people have been shutting down gradually, closing down restaurants. But from what I'm hearing through the grapevine today, they're about to get even stricter, which I was not real happy about, because I heard they're going to be possibly shutting down a lot of the parks. We have state parks and national parks up here that we like to go hike, and there's no one there, so we're bummed. Because we go, no, can't we just at least show that we have a driver's license and we can stay here and we live here? Hey, Miss Patty. There's my sweet friend, Miss Patty. She's a wonderful astrologist, and if you guys haven't caught any of her stuff as to what's going on, you can go to pattycampson.com, and she will fill you in on what's happening astrologically if you like that kind of information. So I'm glad you're here, Miss Patty. We just got off the phone about an hour ago. Let's go ahead and look at those hearts flashing up there. So let's talk about this. I want to go ahead and jump in. We've got a handful of you on, and I don't want people to have to wait. So coronavirus, a spiritual awakening. We've been talking about the health aspect of it and the economic aspect of it, which is all about survival, right? We're looking at everything of how do we survive through this, and rightfully so. I mean, we're humans, we need to survive, we're living in this 3D mode. But as a spiritual coach, I try to look at things from a different perspective. And I want to give you a little bit of background, just a little bit of my background, just so you know where I'm coming from and why I'm going to share with you what I'm about to share with you. So back in 95, before I became a spiritual coach, my dad passed away, and he had lost everything in bankruptcy. He had been on the hamster wheel his whole life. Hey, Jerry, he'd really been driving himself crazy, and then he lost everything in bankruptcy in the recession in the 80s, okay? As a result, Daddy became a hermit, he became an alcoholic, and he died a broken man at the age of 54, and this was back in 95. So I had been real attached to my dad and saw his ways as the way to be. That, living on that hamster wheel, pushing, pushing, pushing. Well, when he died, I went into therapy, and what I realized after I looked at his life is that Daddy had no forgiveness of himself. He was really hard on himself. He had a lot of beliefs that he had to perform for us. So this is, if you've ever heard some of my talks, you're maybe familiar with this part of the story. For me, I looked at it and I saw that I was a lot like Dad, and I was perpetuating the cycle of needing to push, push, shove, shove, and always be on the hamster wheel, always trying to get it right and do it right. And I was putting that information on my family, my kids. So I didn't like myself. So I made a decision to heal. Well, my journey took me through energy school, and I became an energetic healer, a spiritual coach. And what that means is that I could see blocks on people, and I could look at things from a spiritual perspective and help shift the energy so that the person could move deeper into their truth. And I was doing this for myself first. And as I gave myself permission to see everything as an opportunity to heal my life, to move into unconditional love, that's where I found peace, that's where I found joy, and that's where I found inner and outer abundance. Here's what I also learned, that everything is connected. We are all energy. We now know through science that we are 96% energy. And because energy attracts like energy, whatever energy you're emitting is what you're going to attract to you. So, for instance, when I was always angry at my husband, because this was my late husband years ago, because I felt like he wasn't hearing me. Well, what I would see was that he wasn't hearing me, but it was the belief that I was holding that was emitting a feeling, and then I would emit that vibration. So I would draw these situations with him to me that made it feel like he wasn't hearing me. When in actuality, he was hearing me, but it's the way I was perceiving it. And it was what I was drawing to me, those situations. So I used to be mad at him and in blame towards him that he wasn't hearing me. But when I started learning about energy and that everything is a mirror to what we're holding on inside of ourselves, the beliefs we're holding on, then I saw him as an opportunity to heal, and I realized that I wasn't really hearing myself. He was just showing me how I wasn't hearing myself. So as I started practicing this journey of everything is a mirror, if something's not working in my life, then I know I've attracted this thing to me energetically, and the energy is based in my beliefs. Whatever I'm emitting is whatever is in my subconscious mind and that I am emitting. And then I'm going to draw that energy to me. So instead of feeling like, oh my gosh, my life is falling apart, when it actually felt like it was falling apart a lot of times, I would see it as a gift. I would see it as an opportunity to go within and look at the belief that was causing my pain and suffering. Now, by doing this, by seeing everything as an energetic connection and everything as a mirror to what was happening inside of me, I then became empowered by using the tool of saying, okay, what is this showing me? What am I being awakened to? By having that perspective, I went from victim mentality and survival mentality, even though I have my moments. I mean, this has definitely brought up my moments. It brought me into a space of empowerment and into a thrive mentality. And the reason it became a thrive mentality is that as I looked at the beliefs, as I allowed my outer world to take me to my inner world, to look at what am I reacting to, what is the vibration I'm holding, and then allowed that to take me into the belief. What is the belief that is causing it? Because your beliefs create feelings, and your feelings emit the vibration. When I get to the belief, I knew that if it was keeping me at a vibration that was attracting things that were hard, it wasn't my truth. It was not my truth. So that's when I would take back my power, release that belief, and then say, what is my truth? What am I being awakened to? Now, here's the really cool part. As I made a decision to do that, as I made a decision to really allow my outer world to be the gift to take me to my truth, that's where I found a deeper connection to God. I started opening up more to my intuition. I started allowing myself to feel loved and supported by the universe and taking action with loving and kind and compassionate steps toward to myself. And because I was holding that vibration, I started attracting things that were loving and kind to me. My whole world changed. My family changed. Everything became more peaceful and loving and joyful. we more or less got off the hamster wheel and started moving into a divine flow, because the more we loved ourselves, then the more things would show up in our lives that were loving and kind to us. And that doesn't mean we don't still have crap happen. I mean, we're experiencing this whole coronavirus thing too, but I'm just trying to give you a perspective that everything that is going on is a spiritual gift. So I want to give you another story, and then we're going to go in and see how you can start looking at this for yourself. After 9/11 happened, I was ticked, right? I mean, I was so pissed. I was like, why is this happening? And I remember I was living in Los Angeles at the time, about 15 minutes from the airport. So, I mean, there was questions as to what was going to happen and were there going to be more airports hit? Was LA going to be hit? And I mean, a lot of stuff was coming up, right? Well, I remember sitting in meditation and said, I know there's a gift here. I know there's a gift. I'm really angry, but I know there's a gift. Well, what I saw was the world towers, the Twin Towers, were all about power and money. And that what we were being shown through the terrorists is that this is how we treat ourselves. This is what we do to ourselves and to each other. We compete, and we're all going after the money rather than the deep love and the connection within. So through that, I was able to say, okay, this is a big awakening that's happening on our planet. Well, a year later, I was in New York. I was sitting in Central Park, looking at a pond, sitting on a bench, and there was a woman sitting on the other end of the bench, and people were just milling around normal Central Park. Well, she said to me, we started talking, small talk. She said, I was here the day after 9/11. She said, it was so different. I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, you see how everyone is milling around? I said, yeah. She said, they weren't doing it that day. She said, they were all staring into the water, into the pond, because this was near the pond where they do all the little boats. She says, I know it means something. I just can't figure it out. And I said, well, I know exactly what it means. And she said, really? And I said, yeah. I said, think about it. You look into the pond, you're being asked to see the mirror. You're being asked to see the reflection. And I said, everyone was awakened at that time to what we were doing to each other, our own power struggles within, with other people, and how we were disconnecting. And I said, there was a shift in consciousness. A lot of people didn't get the message, but that's what was happening. And she says, oh yeah. She said, we got it here. She said, the whole community came together. She says, I still have the picture on my refrigerator. Well, she sent me an email later that day, and she said, oh my gosh, Terry. She says, I can't believe what you said. I know that's absolutely what's true. We did come together, and we were being awakened. So this is how seeing the outer world can bring you to your inner world. Now, Mindy, I love this, Mindy. She says, what if this is God's plan to unite the world to be one and not divided? I absolutely agree, Mindy. I absolutely agree. And let me explain to you why that is. If you think about right now, we've all been on this hamster wheel, right? We've been on this hamster wheel, and everybody is pointing fingers at each other. Here in the United States, it is the right versus the left. I mean, there is just not a whole lot of love that's being spread around. So now we're in this coronavirus, and I want to look at the symbology of it for a minute, because I was kind of breaking it down, and we're going to go back to what you just said, Mindy. So if you think about virus, you think about something that is deadly, if you think about a virus in a computer, right, it can shut the computer down. Well, you see a virus in our minds can shut us down, can bring us into havoc. So if you're thinking about this virus, which is now a pandemic, which is global, that means that it is something in the mass consciousness that is looking to be awakened. Okay, so think about that, is looking to be awakened. You look at the lungs. The lungs, when you look at the spiritual symbology of them, they are about breathing in life. And when there's an issue with them, it can be around grief and sadness. There's a lot of pain, a lot of stuffed emotion right here. Then you look at the disconnect. So we've been asked to separate. We've been told to social distance, and we're looking at this as a bad thing. But really, in reality, that's a mirror to what we're doing with each other when we're competing, when we're on that hamster wheel, when we're chasing money, when we're not having the deep spiritual connection. The beauty in the disconnect is that we are being asked to go home, to go within. I mean, think about the symbology of stay at home. It's telling us to go within, get in home here, be at home here, find out what you have grief about. I mean, there's so many people that I see that are flatlining, and I don't mean you're dead. It just means that you're not feeling fulfilled. You're not feeling like you're following your passions and your dreams, because survival always takes the precedence. And if we're going to stay in survival, then we're going to continue to be in this world that's out of balance. So it's like we've been in this warrior, this male, masculine warrior mode of fight, push, shove, you against me. What I believe is happening is I believe we're in a spiritual awakening. I believe that we are being asked to see the symbology of what's going on, see what's coming up for you right now during this time of having to stay home. Look at, where am I at home in my body? Where am I being in connection, or where am I being in disconnect? See, for years before my dad died, I lived in disconnect. I was always trying to get it right and do it right. I became like my dad. I was in that masculine warrior energy of always trying to prove my worth. And so I was in disconnect. That disconnect caused my anger, caused my judgment, caused me feeling like a victim. And it was when I made a decision to say, no more, I'm going to go within and get connected to home here. I'm going to be connected to who I am and the way I was created. I'm going to get rid of the beliefs that are causing me to attract this pain and suffering in my outer world. It was when I made that decision that I finally felt connected to God. I finally started opening up to really feel the presence of God in my life. And here's what's so cool about that. I mean, that's the coolest thing on the planet, right? But what was the big change, and this goes back to what you were saying, Mindy, is that when I quit being on this hamster wheel and I came home and I started going within, then I opened up my heart so that it no longer felt like competition, you against me. It no longer was always chasing the money. It was about, how do I chase God? How do I get in connection to spirit? How do I get connected to my truth? Because that is where the peace, the joy, the love, and the abundance is. So when we look at what's going on in the world, we are being shown on a mass consciousness level that we are disconnected. We have a virus within us that says, I am not following my truth. I am not loving myself. I'm not honoring myself. I'm treating myself as if I don't matter. And you may be thinking, well, I'm trying to treat myself as if I don't matter. I'm trying to treat myself as if I matter. I'm trying to do these loving things, but it still feels hard. Well, I would say to you, congratulations. That means there's opportunity, more opportunity to heal. There's more opportunity to go deeper into a state of unconditional love. So for me, I just want to share some things that have been coming up for me during this process. Is I have a grandbaby. I know for those of you who watch me on social media, you've seen those grandbaby pictures, and she'll be a year this month. I find myself wanting to just protect her, right? I saw a baby on the internet a couple of days ago that was in isolation because of having the coronavirus, and the mom was saying, we can't be with our baby for 2 weeks. And oh my gosh, my heart just went whoof. Well, then I started thinking about my little granddaughter, and I just want to protect her, right? Because I don't want her to get sick and her to be in isolation. And you can see the emotion around it, right? So I'm looking at it, what's the mirror here? Because when my kids were growing up, I got to a point where I would just see myself walking up a spiral staircase and just hand them over to God and the universe and say, they're not mine. I gave birth to them. They're children of God, and I can't control their lives. But I'm finding with this baby, my grandbaby, that I can't even be near because she's in Florida and I'm in Georgia, that I'm feeling those fears pop up. So, I was emotional yesterday about it. Really, really emotional. And Charlie said, what's going on with you? Charlie's my husband, if you don't know. He said, what's going on with you? And I said, oh, there's something about protection here. And so I had to look at it and go, where do I not feel protected? Where am I not loving myself? And so the tendency is to think that protection is when we bury ourselves. Now, right now, we're protecting ourselves by not we're being in social distancing, right? But true protection is when we love ourselves and move into a high vibration, so we attract things that are loving and kind to us. So I had to look at it and go, well, where am I needing to move into a high vibration? Where am I missing the point right now? And thus the reason for this video broadcast, because I realized through this process, I've just been kind of sitting idle. And so I had to say, well, what is it that I'm being called to do? So I woke up this morning and I had this really weird dream. I had to break down the symbology of it. And it showed me that you're in self-protection mode, Terry, not in a loving way, but in a survival way. You've just been sitting down, being quiet, not doing anything to serve, which for me, when I serve, I'm in a very high vibration. So I asked, how do I serve today, God? How do I serve? And I got, do this audio or this video. So that's why I'm doing it, okay? I got hit over the head with a 2x4. But it was looking at where I had not been serving, and because I was just really in survival, like everyone has been doing, just watching the news, been doing some wonderful things, going on walks and loving all that and spending time with my husband, but there was still this survival energy. And what I know for sure is that when we stay in that survival energy, we're disconnecting. We're disconnecting from God. We're disconnecting from love and from that inner abundance, which will attract outer abundance. So our goal through this process for you is for each of us to say, how do I connect? And then move into that high vibration. And as you do, then you start serving by being that light in the world. And for me, what happened is I ended up opening up to my gifts as a healer and a teacher and a writer and a speaker. So when you do this, the beautiful part about it is that there's so many other benefits that come along. So what I want to do right now is I want to just open up for anyone who has a question, anyone who has a thought about this, because if there's anything that I can do to serve, it's to help you see that there is a gift happening in your life right now. I mean, last night I have this divine level we do twice monthly, and we actually talked about this. We talked about what's coming up for you, what's the gift in it, because it's so important to see in the spiritual awakening that we're in. Even for those of us who've been doing this work for ages, it's still an awakening. It's still an opportunity for us to go deeper, and it's important for us to see everything from a spiritual perspective, because the spiritual perspective takes you into a thrive perspective. When you see everything as a gift and an opportunity to grow and to go deeper in connection, that's a thrive perspective. When we stay in the perspective of watching it, how is it going to affect our finances constantly? How is it going to affect us in our health and our families? We are in survival mode, and that's going to keep us at a lower vibration. So this is really, really important for us to come from this spiritual perspective. So does anyone have a question? Does anyone have a comment? Let me see if I missed anything. Yeah, Mindy, I see that you said, what if this is God's plan to unite the world? And I think I touched on that for you, and not be divided by politics. Yeah, I really believe that the politics is always around money. It's always about, who gets tied in, who gets to have their way of being kept safe. It's not about humanity. I mean, some people are, but not overall. Let me see if anybody else. Sharon said, yes, reflection. Kim says, so true. So Kim says, what is this awakening me to? So Kim, that is a question you want to invite yourself. So I'll see if there's any more questions, and then we'll do a little meditation here if you want to. Do y'all want to do a meditation? If you want to do a meditation, give me a thumbs up or a heart. Let's see if there's any other questions here. I see one. I see a thumbs up. Yay, people are popping up. So I love that question about what is this awakening me to? So Sharon says, I have also felt that I need to get out of survival mode. It's like being in fight or flight, even though I couldn't, that just went away. Last night I had a dream that you drove here to Wisconsin to be a supportive friend during this time. Yay, Deborah. So you had a dream about me? That's awesome. I love that. So that's about this energy of bringing in this divine loving energy. So here Sharon says, is there a particular meditation you're recommending to help with inner strength during this? my grounding in God's light, I actually put it out the other day, but you guys can grab it. It's just go to Terry. It says, did I just lose connection? Am I still here? You guys, am I still here? Give me a thumbs up if I'm still here, because it just made it sound like the connection went away. Okay, I'm still here. Okay. Sometimes my internet goes kind of wonky up here in the mountains. So what was I saying? Let me go back here. Oh, I was still thinking about being in Deborah's dreams, and if you guys know me, that can just be really bad. So, oh, Sharon, you said, is there a particular meditation? Yeah, you can go to terrybritt.com/grounding, and that is going to get your vibration up. So when you talk about getting inner strength, it's through our vibration and feeling connected to God, connected to Source, connected to the universe. So it's completely free. If you want to go get it, just go grab it, terrybritt.com/grounding, GROUNDING, and Terry Britt, you can see the spelling here on this video. So you can grab that. So Danny Lee says, one of the gifts of this has been letting go of the need to perform. Yeah, you guys who know me, that's like my signature conversation is stop the performance, because the performing keeps you in disconnect. So, oh, she said it was freezing for a moment. Okay, so it's okay back. So let's do a little meditation. Let's do a little meditation to help you see what the gift is, that's what you're being awakened to right now. And I love doing meditation, so I want to invite you right now. I'm going to get a little sip of water. If you have anything that's turned on, turn it off. I'll take you into this and see what comes up for you. And what I would say to you is if there's any feelings coming up, let those come up. Your feelings are key. They are your soul talking to you. If you feel emotional in any way, it's very important to let them come up. I know there's a tendency in our world to say, oh, I've got to be strong through this and I don't need to feel anything and just push it away. No, let the feelings come up and take you to the belief that is causing your pain and suffering, that is causing you to be in survival mode and disconnect. So feelings are always key. It's one of the most important things we can do on our spiritual journeys is to allow ourselves to feel. Okay, let me get a drink. Okay, if you guys are ready, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and just take a deep breath. Let's hold it on the count of 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do that again. And hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I want to invite you right now, we're going to get grounded in God's light for a moment. I want to invite you to visualize opening up the crown of your head and imagine the light of God, the light of love, the light of the universe flooding in to the top of your head. And as it comes in, just say to yourself, I give myself permission to receive love here, to receive guidance, to receive healing. Now bring that light on down through your head, into your face, feeling everything relax all over your face, the back of your head. Let everything go. And bringing that light down into your neck. Down your arms. Breathing into this and imagine the palms of your hands and your fingertips opening up, allowing all the energy of holding on, of fear, of judgment, of scarcity. Allow those energies to release out of your hands. And let that energy just dump down below your feet. Breathing into this. And now let's go from the shoulders all the way down into the chest. Breathing, really allowing that lung energy to open up. allowing any stuck energy, any sadness, any fear, again, right here, to allow it to open up, and now let it release down through your body and out your feet. And let's continue to bring this light down into your torso, all the way to your hips. Here's where we hold a lot of survival energy. So let's allow this light to just break it up. Imagine it's being chipped off the sides of your rump and your tummy and all the organs, and allow that energy to now flood down your legs. Allowing all this light pushing the energy out of your feet. Allow it to push the energy out of your feet, again dumping down underneath your feet. We're getting grounded in God's light right here. We're releasing. You have the power to release energy at any moment, and that's what you're doing right now. Now I want you to imagine that you're in an egg of energy. This is your auric field. And I want you to imagine that as this light's coming through, and you're so full of light now that it's overflowing and spewing all the way around you, arm's length all the way around you. So that any darkness that is in your energy field, any of the societal fear, anything you've been watching on TV, the people you've been listening to that's sitting in your energetic field, allow that energy to wash down to the bottom of this aura. It's like you're sitting in this big egg of energy all the way around you. Everything's being washed in front of you, behind you, on either side of you. And now on the bottom, I want you to visualize opening up that aura like a camera lens and dump all of the energy down. This is a grounding cord, this beautiful column that is connecting you to the center of the earth. And allow that energy to go down to the center of the earth, all the way down. We're going to send that energy back with love. So breathing into this. Breathing and allowing yourself to be in this space of connection. If you're feeling anything, allow the feelings to come up. So I want you to imagine, kind of like when in the New York story I told you, there's a pond. I want you to imagine that there is this beautiful pond in front of you. And it's gorgeous outside. It's green. There's flowers everywhere around this pond. It is so serene. It is the safest place. It's the safest place you've probably ever felt. It just feels so good. And I want you to imagine going over and sitting at the edge of this pond. As you sit there, I want you to give yourself permission to see the truth. Just say, I give myself permission to see the truth. And our intention right now is to see, what are you being awakened to? What are you being awakened to? So as you look in the pond, I want you to imagine there is a picture. And maybe you don't see. Maybe you feel like, well, I can't see. So you may have a knowingness. You may have a feeling. You may hear something. Whatever way is right for you is okay. But if you can just have fun with this, imagine looking in the pond and saying, what are you being awakened to right now? Breathe into this. And if you find yourself grasping, when we go into fear mode, we shut down. So I want you to imagine just taking a breath, opening up your crown again, and allowing the light to flood in. The light of higher consciousness, the light of wisdom and knowingness. So allow yourself to be in that. What are you being awakened to? Breathe into this. Are you being awakened to self-love? Are you being awakened to be kinder and gentler to yourself? Are you being awakened, like I was, to to go deeper into peace and joy and doing the spiritual healing within myself so I no longer lived on the hamster wheel? Are you being awakened to get off of that hamster wheel? Are you being awakened to forgive? Maybe this has brought up some feelings for you during this time that life is short and you realize you're holding on to anger or pain that no longer serves any purpose other than to create harm to you. So are you ready to release that? Are you being awakened to that? Are you being awakened to a deeper relationship? Maybe you're in a partnership or a marriage and you realize there's been walls. You realize that there have been resentments and regrets, and you realize, wait, maybe this person was just showing me myself. Maybe I can see this person as a gift now. Am I being awakened to see the people around me as gifts? What are you being awakened to? Breathing into this. Let any emotions come up. This feels really good, doesn't it? So I want you to imagine right now as you're sitting at this pond and you're awakening to the message that you're here to get right now, why you're here in this time of change and awakening, spiritual awakening for the whole planet. I want you to imagine that sitting next to you is the little kid inside of you, the little 5-year-old. And I want to invite you to look at that child and say, I am going to love you from this point forward. And I'm saying yes to this awakening. I'm saying yes to loving you more. And you can ask this inner child, what is it that you need from me to feel loved? What is it that you need from me to feel protected? And we're not, remember, talking about going into lower survival energies. We're talking about to love, to bring you into a state of higher vibration, which is your true protection. So what does this child need so that you can step into this awakening? And let me give you an example. You can stay in this meditative state. So maybe this meditative state says, I need to go and talk to my husband, my partner, about how I want to have a shift in our relationship. I want to do that. But you're not even really sure what you want to say. You're not even really sure how that feels. So you look at your inner child and you say, how can I love you through this? And she says, I just really want you to speak the truth. I want you to not, bow down and deny yourself. I want you to just say what you really feel. And so the action and protection is to go to your partner then and say, this is how I'm feeling. This is what I would love for us to create. But this is also what my boundaries are. And I would love to know what your boundaries are. So this is how we can start taking steps to embrace the awakening. So once again, as you're sitting in this space, I want you to ask your inner child, what is it that I need to do for you to bring you into this higher loving vibration to help bring this spiritual awakening into fruition? And take a moment and allow yourself to receive that answer. Breathing through this. So let's set an intention that whatever you've seen for yourself is done. So as a spiritual person, we set intentions because we know we're co-creating with God. We're co-creating with the universe. So as you set an intention, you say, okay, this is where I'm being called to do this spiritual awakening. This is how I'm being shown to love myself through it. So my intention is that this is done, that I have the courage to do this, that it is done and it feels beautiful, that the highest good has been revealed and that there is healing. So what I want you to imagine right now is that it is done, that whatever this spiritual awakening you've being asked to do, whatever the guidance you're getting from your inner child, that you are seeing it is already done. You don't have to know the how, you just know that it's already done. And I want you to imagine what that would feel like. What would that feel like? Would that feel glorious? Would that feel freeing? Would that feel peaceful and joyful? So whatever that is, I want you to feel that feeling in your body and say, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this healing. And then turn up the volume of that energy. Remember, that's the feeling, and whatever feeling you emit is what you're going to draw to you. So I want you to feel the feeling of this vibration, and I want you to go and raise it even more. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for this healing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for this spiritual awakening. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this deep connection of love and kindness and gentleness in my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And feel it, bringing it, infusing it with gratitude and love. And as you do, you turn up that volume even more so that you can step into this. So take a breath into this and release. Take another deep breath and release. And you can come back into this space whenever you're ready. If anyone would like to comment or share whatever they just saw for themselves or how you're feeling, I would love to hear it. We'll stay on a few more minutes to see what you have to say. If you're feeling emotional in any way, please allow yourself to be in that emotion. Allow yourself to just breathe through it. I know that for me, like yesterday when I was telling you about the stuff with my grandbaby, I had been stuffing that energy down, right? That survival and protection, and then it came up, and then it was like, well, wait, how do I really protect myself? And that's when I had the dream and was told to come and do this. This is me protecting myself because I'm being in my light, I'm being in a high vibration, and I'm being of service. That is me being in that higher vibrational state. It's being in that loving state. And so that's what I want to invite you to do, is to move whatever it is you're being called to do, to clear out, to release, and then take action. That's what I want to invite you to do. Sally, I'm so glad. She said, beautiful. Anybody else have a thought or a feeling, anything they want to write about and share? We'll give it another minute or so. I would ask that you share this with your friends. The more people that can get this meditation and this conversation and start moving into a spiritual awareness, the more we're going to start shifting the consciousness. And we're not going to have a pandemic, right? I mean, this pandemic is just part of the energy of the universe that is showing us ourselves. So if we want to heal it, we have to move into in spiritual alignment. We have to move into that space of love. And there's no better way to do that than what we're doing right here. So I want to invite you to share this message with everyone you know so that we can really shift the consciousness of the planet. Oh, Sharon, that is so true. So she says, I need to make time for myself and not feel guilty when I do. You know, we have been so programmed that if we're taking time for ourselves that we're bad. But here's the deal. When you don't take time for yourself and you're stressed out, you are in disconnect. You are disconnecting from God. And in that disconnect, that's where you feel the lower level energies of pain and anger and judgment and resentment. And because you're feeling that, then that starts spewing onto the world around you. And because you're feeling that, you start attracting more of crappy stuff in your life to mirror that energy. When you love yourself without guilt, you move into a high vibration. You become what I call a leader of love, and for our community, a women leader of love. You become that example for others to watch you and learn. So guilt is not doing anyone any good. It's hurting you, and it's hurting the people around you. So if you want to be loving, you want to love yourself. You want to take the time for yourself, and you want to move into connection. All the people around this planet, lots and lots of people, we've been hearing now for ages, Take time for yourself, to do this. So more and more people are doing it, but then they're still living on the hamster wheel and they're coming from a space of guilt. It's time to let go of the guilt. Guilt, when you look at the levels of energy on the map of consciousness that was created by Dr. David Hawkins, I always get Hawking and Hawkins. Dr. David Hawkins, he wrote a book called Power versus Force, where they calibrated emotions, and they did it from 0 to 1,000. Shame was at 20 and guilt was at 30. They are the two lowest level vibrations you can actually experience. And if you're at those low level vibrations, you're going to attract things that feel like punishment. So you want to stop. You want to stop the craziness. So I want to invite you to let go of the guilt. Okay? Deborah says, feeling unguarded. What does that mean, Deborah? Can you expand a little bit more on that? Is that a good thing? Or is that, I'm assuming that you're saying you've been feeling like you were on guard, and now you're saying, I'm feeling like I can let my walls down a little and breathe. But I don't know. So you can explain that. I don't know what exactly you meant by that. Because I don't know if you meant like you're feeling unprotected. Let's see if anybody else had anything to say. So once again, I know that you had asked earlier about a meditation that can help you. This meditation will help you move into the awakening on a daily basis. Grounding in God's light is really, really powerful. It's so powerful to sit down for 20 minutes. I think it's like 28 minutes on this meditation that I have for free. It's set to music. It's beautiful. And what was so cool about this meditation as part of my CD message sent is I got guidance to create it, and it literally was just a flow of divine energy between me and Rashid Lani, who was the musician who was on the meditation CD with me. So Sharon says, a sense of looking over to see old things left behind. So she has a little heart there, so I'm assuming that you're letting things go, letting old things left behind. And Deborah says, yes, letting walls of self-protection down. Woohoo, yay. So what I would invite each of you to do is to think of yourself as pioneers. Because if you look at my Facebook page, here it's Women Leaders of Love, Pioneers of Change for Our Families and the World. When we choose to be these leaders, when we choose to get off the hamster wheel and allow this time to take us deeper into connection and to a space of love, we really do become pioneers for the people around us. Another thing you guys can get, if you haven't read my free ebook, is called Women Leaders of Love. You can grab that as well. You just go to terrybritt.com/leaders and grab it. And it has just a little ebook. I think it's, I don't know how many pages. I can't remember. I wrote it a few years ago. It's a very short read. I call it a toilet bowl read. You can sit on the toilet and read it. But it has a lot of information in there about the energy, the vibration, what's going on. Not in relation to the pandemic, but it's still relative. It's the same thing. And it gives you some steps on what you can start doing to bring more love within yourself and to get into that higher vibration. So Danny Lacey says, I'm being called to model true leadership and my inner child wants to have fun. And let me tell you, Danny Lee, fun is one of the highest vibrations. If you can have fun and like right now when you're at home, my hubby and I, we've been turning on music because we recognize that we have had some survival stuff come up. So we're trying to combat it with the things that will get us into a high vibration. So we've been taking lots of walks. We have been turning on music, getting in the kitchen together, watching, don't tell him I said this, Hallmark movies, because he actually likes Hallmark movies. And so, having fun is a very high vibration. It brings you into a state of joy. And if you go back to that map of consciousness, joy is actually a higher vibration than love. So, which is really interesting, isn't it? So Sharon says, I've been listening to Grounding in God's Light for several years. If you haven't tried it, it's a good time. Thanks, Sharon. That's awesome, Sharon. Well, please, again, pass this on. Anybody else, we'll stay on just another minute. If anybody else has a comment or anything that they want to add, please do. And then do pass this on. Share it with your friends and ask them to share, because I know that I have seen the trickle effect. Like some of you who have been in our community, you've been doing the work and you're now sharing that with people around you. I've seen in my own family that as I have taken a stand for love and self-protection through love, not through guardedness and not through being on a hamster wheel, but through energy and vibration and raising my vibration and connecting to God, to source, and being open to receive, that has trickled over into my family. It has made a huge difference in how we walk through life, how we perceive things, how we no longer live in the blame game, but instead live in the empowerment game. We live in prosperity consciousness rather than survival consciousness. And so I think that if we can all move into that energy, and the more we can get this message out into the world, then the more we're going to see a shift. We'll really embrace the spiritual awakening that is happening for us. We just have to receive it, right? And most people are not opening to receive it. And so by spreading this message, we give them a little push to say, yes, it's time to open up and receive this message. Thank you, Sally. Thank you. She says, thank you so much for sharing your light, and thank you for sharing yours, because I know you do too. So I'm going to call it a day. And stay tuned. I will be posting more. I'm just allowing Spirit to guide me. I get up, I meditate, and if I feel guided like I did today to do something, then I will do it. So I'll put notices out to please watch. So love you guys. Thank you. Thank you for being leaders of love and pioneers for change in our world. And best wishes, and stay safe in your energy and vibration, and see this all as a gift to create a deeper connection within. Love you all. Bye-bye. Thank you, Danny Lee. I appreciate you so much. She says, thank you so much. You're an inspiration and mentor to me for love and light. Mwah! Thank you. Thank you. All right, everybody. Bye-bye.